Okay.
Kevin's gonna read something.
Yes, calling to order the Seal and Branding Committee for May 28th, 2024. Just want to read you the statement, okay? It's an update. After receiving the committee's feedback at the last meeting, we have decided the consultant, we have talked to the consultant and we are in the process of ending the contract for future work. We have also talked to David Lindy about his interest in stepping down from the committee and having the town engage to complete some of the work. David is going to do this. We have consulted with the town council on the state ethics laws, and he in turn has consulted with the State Ethics Commission. David can enter into contract with the town if he no longer is a member of the committee, because the town manager, not the town seal and branding committee, is the appointing and contracting authority for this consultant position. Given that the town manager is appointing and contracting authority for this consulting position, and in order to fully comport with the guidance we received from the State Ethics Commission, town council has recommended that the committee members forego from offering any discussion or input on this potential appointment in contract with David. David has stepped down as committee member prior to the meeting today and will participate in his capacity as a private consultant pending finalization of a contract with the town manager. Thank you for your assistance. All right, next up on the agenda. Amy, what have you got?
Well, David prepared a presentation, which I'll start to share.
Sure.
Oh, hi, Louise.
Okay.
All right, so taking our feedback from the last meeting, I just wanted to, it was mainly, I heard let's explore a couple colorways, and some of that is, I'm showing a few that I think work well. I mean, they all have their merits in it, so I'm not showing you anything that I think is horrible, and I'll try to convince you otherwise. But the other thing that I didn't do in this round was, usually when I do any sort of branding job, I'll include a palette. So it'll be usually like two main colors and then a couple highlight colors, and those are sort of to be determined. A lot of that stuff gets used on websites and things for highlighted boxes, that sort of thing. But I can sort of ruminate on that after we sort of pick, what are the primaries type of thing. So that's what this will really show. Go ahead. So that's the original we started with. The only thing that I took out was town of, that was up in the upper left of it. And I was all for that just because it makes it cleaner. So but that's sort of a, I'm calling this the blue version type of thing. Again, it's works nice in the circle. I'm leaving the reversed out version at the bottom alone. I played a little bit with what if I do the bridge and the town hall in a color, and then you feel like you're painting things and it just starts to get a little, if it's not the right color, then it looks funny. So I decided we won't do that. Go ahead. So the next one here is, I'm sort of calling it like a silver. It's a little more muted. It looks nice. It looks, I don't want to say more municipal type of thing. I didn't want to just be gray. So it's gray with a little bit of blue in it to sort of take it off of just, pure gray that way. Go ahead. And this one's with, I'm sort of calling it yellow. That's, again, to sort of play with it enough. I didn't want it to be lemon yellow. I didn't want it to be school bus yellow. I kind of was sort of, what people would describe as like a golden yellow, kind of like, University of Michigan kind of thing. Go ahead. And this was what I was trying to describe last week. Sort of, this is like the metallic gold look. It's where it's at. Little more muted type of thing. Looks nice. I think the high school at times uses this on certain things. They tend to be darker because they'll use that color in type perhaps, and I didn't want the secondary color to be so dark. You know, I kind of wanted to feel more like an accent. So again, I could, you could convince me otherwise. If it was some big headline, we could do it in that color, but it would have to maybe be on the dark blue or on bright white type of thing. So go ahead. And then this was sort of like, okay, some oddballs.
No.
Where I'm calling it like a brick red, because we do have a ton of, the building's brick and there's a ton of brick, in the town center type of thing. And I put that with sort of the neutral silverish. Again, I think that tends to work. This is a tougher color to work with, other things. Another color that could work with it is sort of like maybe a cream yellow type of thing, or even the gold could kind of work with it. But as I was playing with stuff, if I put gold on that, it looked very BC. So I thought, let's make it ours.
It's half the town, so.
Yeah. Go ahead, I'm sorry. And then this is sort of like a dark green. Again, I sort of use the, if I start putting a different color than sort of the silvery gray in the background, then it's like, if I did another green, then it's sort of, you lose the bridge a little bit. And, it works okay in the yellow. I thought that's, it brightens it up. It's got a different feel and vibe to it, but it is.
If you're a Packers fan, maybe.
Right. Oh, believe me, every time I do this, it's like, hey, this one's this, so that's, okay, that's sort of it for the different colorways.
And we did talk about blue, green, and brick red. I mean, that is.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I kind of thought, I definitely wanted to, again, those are, it's interesting. It's not, we're all used to blue and some sort of yellow or something there. So it's a matter of, do we step out of that comfort zone? Does it make sense? Is there a reason why we want to step out of the comfort zone? That type of thing. So then Kevin, or I heard somebody talk like, what were some of my other ideas that I had, or, bits and pieces. So I just thought like, well, I'll develop those a tad more just to sort of show where I was going. Go ahead. So again, this was sort of taking some of these elements that, in through the creative brief we were providing, some elements that I thought had some merit and what could I possibly do with them type of thing. Go ahead. So this was just sort of another, bits and pieces of stuff. The upper left, that was sort of like when we talked about the door, I thought, well, if we had a door knocker, and I thought, well, pansy for like a door knocker, like it kind of doesn't make sense that you'd have a flower as a door knocker, but it's sort of decorative and I could have maybe got it to work that way. Then the one below that was just sort of a different riff on Town Hall, where it's sort of not taking the front view, but the side view, sort of how it would look. And that sort of, I could put Massachusetts or 1711. I could also bring that up, get rid of Massachusetts a few different ways, but it's an interesting shape type of thing, where I didn't put it in a circle either. The Powers Hall thing, that's where at one point I got halfway done with it and I'm like, the cupola just seems to get buried. It is Powers Hall, blah, blah, blah. So I said, well, what if I just put Powers Hall with it and someone wants to use that, knock stuff out. The one below is, before we even got into things, I was like, well, I always thought one of the big iconic things in Needham was the blue tree lighting and stuff. I'm in the Heights, so I, see that in a couple different parts, and where there may not work as our overall logo. That's sort of like someone said, hey, Dave, do some holiday banners. If we bring back the lights a little bit more, that would kind of give that vibe. The upper right, that was sort of the more like, okay, can I get more hometowny? I was thinking it could be like a monogram on like a gate potentially, and then I put in a circle, and I was like, where do I put Needham? So it was just one of those bits and pieces of an idea that didn't quite resonate with me. The bottom right was sort of using the bridge, and again, like, well, if I just, that's almost like the simple, gee, I don't have any concept, so I'm just gonna put something together. I mean, you do a lot of those for people where they don't know, it's like, it's their initials, and you're like, okay, here. So that was, again, this is sort of, even like this, what's up there now is what I was hoping we were gonna get during the process here type of thing, so. That's kind of where I went through it. So just jumping ahead, we can flip back. So then I started looking at oh, no, you go, next one. Trying to figure out the seal a little bit. And this is where, Amber's cousin, right? Niece, okay. That's it. Comes in.
Sorry, I was
for-
on mute. My fur baby was making his gremlin noises. My niece.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So this is the one, it's funny, I found this on like some stock photo site, and this is literally the best thing I found. I don't know where they got it, but I thought, okay, so it had the most bits and pieces of details, and again, it's where we're coming from. So I just always want to have that sort of key art in my head where we're at. I know that, and now the next one, this was from Amber's niece. And this was good because it incorporated a lot of what we had been talking about. And, we can talk about further refinements. I don't know if we even need to blow that up or something, but this is what she come up with. And go to the next one. And it goes, now, of course, you can't see it. But the right-hand side, that's one that I started goofing with.
Yeah.
Where I basically am like, all right, I'm gonna take Photoshop, I'm gonna do a little this, do a little that.
Can you pull that up? Maybe?
Where's the Zoom? Oh, is that it?
Down the
right.
bottom, right?
Yeah, sorry, the Zoom thing's in the way.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that's better. So I can give you the quick one too, so that's why it was interesting to see what Amber's niece came up with, because I'm like, all right, we're getting on the same page here at least. So I just, we talked about getting rid of the crosses, so I got rid of the crosses. Certainly the TP, the mountains, I just kind of took them out. That was easy. And I think what helps a lot is just bringing up the scale of and having two figures in it. Really, it starts to fill the space. One thought when I just left it at this was like, I'd make them a little bit more so their heads are poking into the sky.
Thank you. Yeah.
To fill that more. The trees, it's a weird perspective that maybe it can't break out of the seal.
I like that.
Well, I like that they come out, but they look like bushes the way, like, they're not in the front enough, so it's
Yeah.
like, how do I?
It looked like Egyptian hieroglyphics.
Right. So that's one where we take a little bit of thought. The interesting thing about the one that I worked on is it sort of obliterates the river or water. I mean, you really can't tell. And I thought, well, I would give the next person a little bit more direction. Maybe it's taking out some of the cross hatching and stuff, but can we have it so it doesn't look like a big body of water, like a pond? Yes, please.
I mean, it could look like water if you just put a bank behind their knees, like they're standing at the edge of the water, right? That goes-
Yeah. That's like I was
Right,
at, or it kind of comes
horizontal.
down, or.
Or even opening up the texture the way it is in the original, the cross action just.
Right,
vanishes
right,
and it
right.
was more, you know,
That's where it's sort
less
of,
dense, yeah.
they could, and I don't know if even the foreground, if they were like, what are they really standing on? Could they be standing on a sort of a rock ledge, like? So.
We could put the river in the front.
Make them up to their ankles in water.
Oh, right.
That handles the
That's
shoe
gonna happen.
situation.
Yeah, they're not gonna know what to wear.
Can we see Talitha's sketch again?
Yeah, so go back, because I
She actually did about 5 of them that I will happily send. And like we had a little like family vote ourselves. And this is the one that we all kind of liked.
Yeah, well, the biggest part of this one, which I think is the best, are the details of the figures. You know, bits and pieces of them, like. I like the Native American's head, if that's like the proper headdress or
Yes.
feathers or something like that, that's a heck of a lot better than the other one. The other one looks like it's a Mummers Day parade.
Mm.
Yes.
or something.
Yep.
Um,
And he's
And-
clothed, but a little bit of both, you know, as you look at them both and they're both kind of not similarly clothed, but there's an air of something common between them. So it's neither one are going to be offensive because they're clothed.
Right. I think the faces are good. It's because I
Yeah.
think when I go to, you know, an illustrator to do sort of like a final rendering, I want to make sure that they don't look mad, or one looks happy and one looks not happy. You know, it's that whole, it's sort of a goofy thing, but like the facial expression counts a lot for this. I think it's they're wearing pants. They're both wearing pants. Should he be wearing moccasins? Is that, I mean, again, that's almost like splitting hairs with an illustrator. But, you know, I could put a buckle on the other guy's shoes, or.
Yeah, just a little fringe and a buckle. I mean, I think that little details like that make a difference.
Right, that's all I'm trying to do is like,
Yeah.
what's the, you know, the little baby things there. We were also thinking, you know, I just want to make sure that our settler's hat is appropriate, or.
It
you
doesn't
know,
look like he was working in a field first.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly, like what.
That's what they're wearing in the current one.
yeah, and it
Yeah.
looks like that, I think we're flawed.
Yeah.
I think that's where she got it. She
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what we're just trying to like figure out, like, that's where like Gloria, I'm like, okay, what's the real? It's like,
I like the evergreen.
In the background.
Yeah, I like the evergreens in the front and in the back.
Mm.
It's-
The,
it's-
that looks a lot like parts of the rocks with high rocks.
Yes.
High rocks.
Yes.
And the feeling you get of the river.
yeah, that's sort of like, we're talking like the embankment type
Mhm.
thing, and again, it's where their heads are, you know, where's the composition?
Maybe raise
with-
the opposite
within that?
bank a little bit so the heads are clear.
Or drop.
Or
it.
drop
Yeah,
it.
Yeah, you could drop the scene
Line.
down a bit.
I
Yeah.
love how the focal point are the people.
Yes.
It's
Right,
like, you
right,
know,
I think that was, as soon as I took them and made it bigger, I thought, well, boy, that solves a lot, it gets rid of, you know, we don't have to have the background telling all kinds of stories, like High Rock looks like a boulder there, and I'm like, are we trying too hard for it? And, you know, I like the deciduous trees, one with leaves in the front. But I do like the pine trees as a, you know, if that's, it defines the background a little bit, you know, that works nice, and try to keep things, you know, as Topher would know, a little more asymmetrical. So it's not the same that way. The one thing that we were thinking about was, like, I think the Indians, or sorry, Native Americans gestures, you know, like he's gesturing and the settler's not. And I'm trying to think what's a good equal gesture that he could be doing, even if one hand is out.
So it's the whole giving and receiving aspect that's not sitting right.
Well,
It seems like he's giving and no one's, and
Yeah.
there's no,
Okay.
Well, one way to get away from that is to have them just facing forward, like, almost like, you know,
well,
just here's this
Well, just
person, here's this
fix-
person.
Just
Yeah.
extend that visible arm a little bit more. So it looks like they're gonna take hands or, you
yeah,
know, some other form of.
well, it's true.
Or if they just both have their hands down, because if they both have their hands up, it kind of looks like an argument. If one has hands up, one doesn't, it still looks like an argument that one's winning or overly explaining. So maybe if they both have their hands down and just, you know, completely neutral, non-confrontational way, it's kind of equal, like even if their hands are just kind of equally placed, like up on the hip, like how one is, it
Yeah.
might just be a little more easier on the eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Cause I mean, I don't know if we get them close, like the original, they both had a piece of paper. And I don't know if that's something we wanna take
No,
out.
yeah, for sure, we
No.
want that out.
Want that
That
out,
was like,
okay.
This is land usually received.
And the settler had,
Right.
he was holding a staff or a
Yeah.
cane or something.
And
Again,
that's
I
a-
don't know if that had any significance.
But that's a symbol of authority. Ruffle is wealth and authority.
Okay,
Like a.
And the lack of, and we went through this also
Well, we
early,
can't.
that
Is that?
with the piece of paper, the image was actually an action that dates to 1680 and not 1711. And this is less time bound, and it just says that when we came here, we were not the only people on the land.
and to Topher, I mean, to Topher's point, do we get them closer together? Not like they're taking a selfie, but
Or maybe they both need to be looking forward.
Right.
yeah, I mean, would that help? I mean, cause it's, the funny part is with all these, you're so used to, it's everything's in profile. Is literally shaking hands too cheesy or putting like a hand on the shoulder, is that,
That's two politicians.
well, I mean, that's what, but just, I don't wanna have like two stiffs.
Right, no,
There
so
either.
they're not in the lineup.
What would be a traditional greeting, Autumn?
Well, one would probably either do a hand up or hand over the heart, something like that. Definitely wasn't shaking hands back then.
But
Yeah.
All right, and then the sash on the Native American, is that wampum belt or otherwise it doesn't read well? It looks like
Bandolier is the word.
bandolier, thank you.
Yeah.
But is it a wampum belt or?
Yeah, and you know what? I'm looking at it, and if it had some type of like maybe a feather detail or something else, you'd be able to really tell what it was versus it almost looks like some type of like militia piece that he's got on now that I look at it that way.
This is what I meant. This is what I meant.
it's sort of
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, it does, yeah.
if something was
Yeah.
coming off, it's just hip a little bit.
Yeah,
What would it
there's
send out?
something,
Yeah,
there need to be some feathers or something, a beading or something hanging from it, would probably give the better depiction of what it is.
okay.
Cause yeah, it's just, cause that's. What is it supposed to be like beadwork? within
Yeah, it'd
there?
be a wampum bead, wampum shells. But it could have some type of a feather or some type of like, just like buckskin, not fringe, but something like that, so you could tell what it is.
Yep. Now, is that considered daily wear or more formal-ish, like?
No, that would be his regalia, just what he would wear.
Just get.
Okay, cause I'm
Yeah.
trying to get it like, as our settler, do we want him to look like the mayor or?
It's
a
unofficial
farmer?
business, right? People can hear how they're just facing forward.
Okay, yeah.
New York City, that's-
Like, so this is New York City, right? They're just both standing forward. No one's in charge, no one's.
Yeah,
That's more iconic. They got a shield between them.
Well, that's the Dutch West
I like
Indies.
that
Yeah,
there's
which
an
we can talk
uneasy.
all
Wait,
about.
wait, we gotta take that to-
We don't wanna get into
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Relationship here, it might be like an uneasy one, but it's a
Right.
fact, right?
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
You're not
this
just
is
standing
more-
for a selfie.
Yeah.
All right, and then another question, if Nahoyden is of two cultures, I mean, he is
Yeah, yeah.
made painting in two cultures, a foot in both. Are you comfortable with like the clothing? Would he have a little both? Would it be European shirt? Would it be? Would
Sorry,
it be, would he?
I
wear-
completely missed that part. I had someone else talking in my ear. I'm so sorry.
No worries. All right, on Nahoyden, he's in two cultures. And his make paintings, would he have sort of a mix of European and native garb? Would you want to put him in?
I
all-
would have him all in his native regalia, because that's his true self. I mean, anything that came after that would be just trying to acclimate and fit in. but his true
Okay.
self would be his regalia.
Okay. All right,
I think to a limited design, limited design space to add in, because praying Indians did often wear elements of English clothing. You're gonna start to confuse,
Yeah.
it's gonna be hard to parse those details in
okay,
in this format.
okay.
Is that the colonists' appropriate clothing? You think, Lori? It's sort of like what we have before.
Yeah, it's close
I-
enough. I mean, I've got some references on this that we use for the kid. I'll find some.
Yeah.
Right, they were Puritans or Roundheads. right?
Yeah, yeah,
means
so.
Roundheads is because they had short hair, I just, because sometimes they'd have the ears cut off if they're for trees or trees, so they were Roundheads.
Life was tough.
So that's why, so Puritans.
Yeah,
maybe
skirted coats.
1680s would,
Skirted coats, wide collars, possibly knee breeches. We gotta check
yeah,
that.
yeah.
So sorry, I just have to hop off and I'll hop right back on again. So
sure.
sorry.
No worries. Okay, and we all like to have, I mean, it occurs to me after seeing this. Is the hill in the original, was that the Blue Hill? We always, I was
always
always
feel
told
like
it was
It
High Rock.
seems like, I feel like that's just because it sounds like it's a hill, well, High Rock is sure, and
Yeah,
I don't know necessarily that it was made specifically for Needham. If you
Yeah.
look at
I
all the
think
town seals there,
I think the
Right.
guy that designed
variation on
them
a theme.
in this period when the state mandated,
yeah,
that everybody have a town seal, and a whole bunch of them got made, within
Right.
2 years. I think a lot of them were made by the same guy, and they just turned them out, and you could see by the fact that so many of them were similar, and I think he's not sweating the day, not saying, what's the icon of Needham?
Right, yeah.
There's no
Right.
Google Maps, right?
Yeah,
right.
no,
Well, I
but
was,
this more rounded top is more characteristic of High
Yeah.
Rock
right,
than,
okay, if we want High Rock,
Pointy
High Rock's
Mountain.
fine. I'm
You
fine
can
with
just
it.
say
I
what,
mean, I could
just
see
say it's High Rock.
bringing
We're the
that
committee.
halfway down though, is that
Yes.
still, 'cause
The,
you don't get a sense of scale, and then it looks like where the trees are, it looks like literally it's like a big boulder
It does.
someplace, so I think it's just
That
It's
can be,
just-
that can be.
trimming it down.
Yeah, the
I think,
trees could be smaller or the boulder could be bigger.
Amy,
but
go
are-
back to mine for a
Yep.
second. I don't mean to cut you off, Amy.
Oh, it was, no, it was
Cynthia.
Cynthia,
Sorry.
Yeah,
Um,
I was seeing that if the boulder was larger and the trees were smaller, in a way, it looks like we have both sides of the river. So there's the
Yeah.
side where they're talking and there's the other side where in most cases with the Charles River, we only have one side.
Well, that's Riverside.
Oh,
Needham's Cross.
So on
Yeah.
this one,
it already feels so much more real.
the,
Like you're looking back at something that actually happened that we can feel connected with instead of this, thing that was made by the person who made all those seals.
right. I think if I had their heads up about
Yes.
here, just make them the complete focus, then the background really doesn't matter what's going in the background as much. Even I was thinking, if they're we have a foreground, middle ground, and background, so they're in we want them in the foreground. The trees look like they should be in the background, but if it's there, they should really be like,
yeah,
They're two.
you know, I
they're
don't
the same
mind,
height.
like,
just
just show
kinda
the
look like-
trunks, just show the trunks, you don't.
Right,
have to show the
right,
hair
yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
And then it's, cause even on Amber's version, I was a little like, well, it almost feels like you could put something else in the background, like a fence or it's like, those X fences or something, but I'm like,
No.
this is more details that are just gonna muck it up.
Yeah.
type of
I
thing.
take the birds out too, it's just like more, I don't know, you like the bird.
Like the birds.
Well,
Yeah.
so the one thing I do like about the clear on top is that it kind of mimics the town seal you did with the with Powers Hall as well. It
Yeah.
looks like it could be the sun, it looks like it just sky.
Well, that's where it's like, even like, the version I did, I just grabbed the area, took one out and then I blew that up. It's cleaning it out so the figures, like right now, like the trees kind of, you know, the background fights a little bit with the figures in front.
Yeah, they're all.
So it's just sort of backing them off a little bit.
Well, I can bring that closer.
Okay.
Oh, and the other one was, I didn't show it on mine. Keep the town in Needham. I'm not even quite sure what the heck to do with the typeface stuff, because like modern typeface is just, I could probably find something that sort of, I feel like it has to look like that. Like it's, I just don't want to go to like anything, even like a serif font, but yeah, I feel like it's gotta look oldie time.
Well, all right, my argument is I
Yeah.
think when this is made, they want Needham to be, they need gravitas. So they want to look ancient. And so
Right.
this is, I think they overshot the mark. They went medieval. And I think we can dial that back. I think you,
Yeah.
the font I've seen like in that, like it's Boat Builder.
Boat
Yeah.
builder?
Boat Builder, it's in a regularness, the town size, but it's sort of a hot press type of character. And it's, it just has enough irregularities that looks kind of old.
Yeah.
Printing press, you know.
Well, that's, yeah, there's a lot of like, you know,
So that's Boat Builder. I would aim more towards that, like, we're still saying we're old,
right.
but we're not.
Well, that's what I would try to find something that
Right.
that works that way. And the other thing I would investigate is what happens when I do it all caps.
Yeah,
Cause that'll like, things that drive me nuts is like the space between town of Needham is like, you can park a car in there.
yeah.
So, but
And
I don't want to finish it with the
I don't
top too much.
And we talked about putting Massachusetts at the bottom and
Yeah.
maybe 17 and 11.
Right, 17 on the left, where right now where
Right.
the crosses are. We
Yeah.
Put 17 on the left and 11 on the right, and then put Massachusetts and sort of get rid of the incorporated. because
I
that's
think,
really-
yeah.
Yeah.
I would rather have, town Needham, Massachusetts. I would do like bullet 1711. I'm not sure I'd split up 1711, because I think the crosses have to go, because I think they look castle wallish.
But I liked Amber's, I liked her crosses, because basically the reason they created Needham was so that they could worship, because they
Yes.
couldn't
Yeah, but
cross the
it's,
Charlotte River.
town is a little bit
So
more
there could be
diverse. I
something
find
in
it
there.
personally offensive.
Yeah, I don't think.
Pardon me?
I'm not of that religion, and I feel it's somewhat offensive.
The
Okay.
The
crosses,
crosses,
Yes,
I guess I kind of am and whatever, and I still think.
I
we should-
would also push a good Puritan in 1711 never show a
Yeah,
cross.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah,
voter.
Amber said fine about the crosses not being there.
Yeah.
It was a meeting house and it's still
Oh,
there. South Natick, well, the site of it.
I still feel like that's pretty close to we need to put something there,
Yeah.
yeah.
so we'll put in a cross.
Maybe that's where the pansies can go.
Right.
Yeah, or if you did town of Needham 1711 and the Masters at the bottom, you kind of covered it.
Or if you really sort of like, you know, if there was some sort of, the foreground would spill into that more.
Hmm.
That's, you know, that's another potential, because yeah, I do like the 1711, like. When I've seen it split up sometimes, it, you know, what's the 17 for? And they missed it, it's
Yeah.
1711.
Fair.
But I would try, you know, it's almost like next round, well. I think I'm trying to think what to do for next round to show.
Yeah, and whatever comes up, sometimes it just happens on the screen.
Cause I, like the next round, it's almost like. I think it's gathering up the correct resources for someone, and I'm also I'll source some illustrators to sort of say, here's someone who can do it in the style we want. And then sort of showing them, even if it's a combination of showing, you know, the one I did and the one that Amber did, and say, we like this face, we like this stuff, and we kind of piece it together, and we could even find like a settler that's, you know, we like this one.
Yeah.
And then they just do the illustration in that style type of thing. I mean, because I like sort of it's not really cross hatching, but just the way it looks like
A woodcut.
an edge, yeah.
Now, we've gone with the TP, do you want, we talked about the weed too, is that Amber doesn't, her niece did not put it in. I'm okay with
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
good with that. I just didn't know, is there, if we have the subjects larger, because right now there's a little more, you know, like one arm's out with the cane, and the Native Americans has his hand up. I mean, if he was, I like the idea of them gesturing something that's correct. Kind of like Amber, like even if they have the hand up type of thing is good. I was wondering, is there something that you would put behind them at their feet? Like, I don't say a backpack, but would something make sense?
right.
Like, I wouldn't put like, oh, put a horse on the side or a car, like, I don't wanna,
I think less is more,
yeah, that's why I don't wanna muck it up.
especially with this kind of woodcut, you like, when it gets so tiny.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, as soon as
everything
they try to do a something, then everybody's like, well, what is that? You know, I don't want anyone to say, what is that? I want them to
Yeah.
know what it is. And by doing the figures larger, we can have like the wampum belt and things, those details will look better,
Mhm.
type of thing. That's kind of what we're focusing on, sort of.
Right.
Again, just getting the scale of the items correct and then making sure they are correct. And I think I've got a pretty good sense, because I think what the next time we meet, or I could even just, can I email everybody?
You can
No.
email Amy,
Okay.
and Amy can email
Oh,
everybody.
no, I'm just trying to figure out. I'm in a new position here. Just to be able to say, here's the instruction I would give somebody, and I'd almost show them the pieces, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. Take this, you know, this is the direction we wanna give somebody. Just to sort of make it sure I got everything in there.
All right, one thing I'd say is, you know, the one on the left, the original, is tilted. Like, is the river tilted, or is that?
There's a river?
Well, where's the background before Mount Wachusett? Yeah.
It looks like looks like Mount Wachusett.
But it is kind of crooked. It's off by a degree or two.
I think that it's supposed to be foreground. background,
Yeah,
yeah? I don't know.
yeah, you kind.
The river curving.
But I'm also, here's my thought, is I think it's too big back there. It looks like a lake. You make it neat, either work a version where it's narrower and looks like a river, or push the characters up, make the foreground the river. And sometimes if we're adding icons, I'd put in a canoe or canoe paddle, but then you wouldn't really do a canoe that people recognize to be a Michoud, which no one would recognize because it's historically accurate, but we'll be explaining ourselves till the day we die what it is.
Less is more.
Well, let me play even with the seal that I have. Because I think I know how I would make the figures larger, and I can make them, yeah, sort of, they're gonna be not right on the bank, but there. And if, like the other one, you can sort of see where it's lighter. Like if you just made it darker hatching here and down and a little bit darker here, then you can sort of, because like a pond it will be straight across, but if I can kind of get this,
You can get a curve,
a
yeah.
little bit of down, and not, I don't even have to make it down on the background, but just that little bit will throw it off. Cause like you said, we have this straight, and then I just have this down a little bit and down a little bit here, it'll just.
Yeah, all right, so we got.
Just enough so it doesn't look like a pond.
I know we're not allowed to do email, and this would probably not work either because it'd be closed, but you know, like an editable PDF where people can put tags on it, is that legal? Like where he does the work online and then you say. I
It makes
love
it tricky, I know, it's hard.
It kind of can't because you're having discussion without public.
Can I ask about the trees? And this would be partly to Autumn's son. These they do look like bushes, but they're some kind of deciduous trees. And then in the sketch that Talitha had, there are some kind of pine trees. And was there particular thinking about the kind of trees?
I'm not really sure. I think we just kind of all voted. She had a couple different drawings, and the pine trees just looked like they fit. They did, and I think from around here, it's a pine tree.
Okay.
So if there's a
Is-
way of putting it that doesn't overwhelm the figures, but doesn't look like a bush, essentially.
Yeah.
I said it would have to be a lot taller, you'd see more of the trunk unless it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, no, the existing one looks like a dogwood.
Mm.
The other thing was the birds. Was that important? Did you all feel having some birds there in the sky?
I think it's a detail that get blown away. Next time we need to produce this as an embroidered patch or anything, or,
Yeah.
Sometimes it shows up as clouds, sometimes it
It
shows
won't
up
be
as
on-
birds,
Yeah.
sometimes it just shows up as hatching.
But
yeah.
I'm wondering from Autumn Sun if having birds has a significance. I know that all living creatures have meaning.
Can we go
and-
back to, yeah, there's no
Oh,
birds
yeah,
there.
no birds.
I do like the pine trees. though. I like the pine trees.
Okay,
Like the scale of the silver.
okay.
I mean, I'm
well,
definitely a fan of the less is more. I get the whole like wanting to encompass all aspects of, Mother Nature, Mother Earth, everything, but I think too much is gonna cloud the seal.
and
okay.
how about the crosses?
I mean, praying Indians, that's what that's fitting. Just as long as it's not the Celtic looking ones. But yeah, the crosses were because the praying Indian aspect of it.
Oh, okay, and not the Celtic ones. Okay, got it. Thanks.
I still think that.
I think they
I
have to
still
go.
think they need to
onward.
come out.
And we had talked about, initially, maybe, I think even on the deed, or some of the stuff that records, it's Nahoyden, but also his sister and others. We had talked about maybe,
There's 5 of them siblings,
all right,
2 sisters and 2 brothers.
You can bring the sister?
well, I mean, well, that would be hard, you'll be explaining it forever. But I
She's in the
mean,
canoe.
we had talked about, um, like, do we add other Native Americans so that they, are we talking a balance or
I think we
parity?
agreed that they're
Well,
same
we're
number.
taking, but we're
Okay.
taking away the deed, the sort of the deed event. by
And the
taking-
ganging up.
Taking the paper out of his hand, it's more of, they're coming together over a piece of land,
And there
Okay,
were 2 of that,
yeah.
colonists.
there are 2 calls, one, yeah, so okay,
But we do have to get done by 5. I guess
Yep.
my question, Kevin, is, do you think we could give some initial guidance on colors for the logo?
yeah,
Because I just want people to bear in mind that the standard color for a DPW truck that will have a logo is a dark blue. And we're potentially at some point looking at police and fire patches,
okay,
and thinking about colors in that vein.
okay, so
Can we go back to that maybe?
Yeah.
I like blue and blue. Blue,
How about is there any that people would just take off the table immediately?
Well, I just had a quick question.
Yes, please.
Is there any, to have the blue and gold, everybody need and blue and gold, and I actually think the warmth is nice, it looks like the sun. But have well, we don't really have sanitation, but sanitation is green, fire is red, police is blue, the seal, so that it could be used in different colors, or is that
Nope.
just 2 colors?
Yep. Oh, we will have one color and matching colors. The police cruisers don't have the seal.
No, exactly, I think that's
But they
great.
could now.
They
Yeah.
could.
Or, again, there's times where I think it can adapt to certain items. Again, that's what's sort of like, not to say I'm the guru, but it could, like the police cars are black and white. Well, okay, we could use the gray and then the black. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to do that. And then for fire, I think on the one patch I did, again, a lot of times I don't know. A lot of these, when they go to get patches or something, they just go to the patch company and yeah, I'll take that
Yes.
design. How much can I put into a custom design? Like, if they just we don't care if the patch is round or X, Y, and Z, I could sort of adapt it. Like, I don't know if you could just use that patch. You could use that patch for one sleeve, and then the other one, they could have the traditional fireman's
yeah,
patch. That's one way of doing it type of thing. And the police one had a different sort of thing, and what typically happens is because they don't have anything else, it's like, well, we use the patch for our logo now. So some patch company made the logo. So that's what we're trying to avoid a little bit here.
So we have 6 options. Can we get to 3?
Yep, all right, so we have blue.
So this one's the consensus. Does this one stay if we're going to 6, from 6 to
Yes.
3?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I like this one a lot.
Maybe.
You don't like it,
It's a
Jen.
little washed out.
Would you consider mixing colors, like yellow on the top and blue on the bottom?
I think that,
That gets too busy?
yeah, starts to,
Okay, so we, on this one?
Well, it's maybe.
It's come back.
Maybe, all right, maybe.
Maybe.
Okay. No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Can we look at the gold one next?
Yes.
I like the gold one better.
Okay.
Is that always good? Because you're not always gonna print that in metallic. Is that gonna work?
well, it's not really, it's not meant to be metallic ink. It's sort of just, and there could be I could split the colors between them.
Yeah, I think you can move that slider up.
Just, there's
There's a
little,
little-
lots of little fuzzies.
There's
When
something
I
about,
see that one outside on like if it's outside, like on wayfinding signage or like signage, to me, it looks like the first one, it's just faded to that color.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
it's
it's,
not distinctive,
Um,
distinctive enough.
Well, it's not,
Alright.
part of it is, it's just like the silver one, like this is, it's a little more muted.
yeah,
Where the other one's definitely bright, that's why I try to tell people, I'm like, well, you've got, you know, yellow, and that's, cause people could call that yellow and gold.
Yeah.
But I want this to be the
they could
gold.
call it a lot of
You know.
things.
in
They will.
printers like gold has more green in it than you realize, and it will, in the sun, that will also fade out more greenish weird.
Okay,
Right.
so can you go back to the yellow? So that's a yes.
See, yes,
Yes.
I could see.
I like
down
that.
I could dial it down a little bit.
It's a
Throwing a
little,
little,
it's a little fried egg, or
Right.
sunny side up,
Right,
right?
it's like medium high.
Well, yes.
Yeah,
and
isn't that
just-
the Needham colors, high school?
And-
Make everybody happy.
Yeah, and that's the.
What do we take, happy?
well, it's like,
Listen, Needham High is why the real estate prices keep
Well,
going up and
hopefully
up
you
and
raise a good.
Well, she's already given on the coupon, so we need to.
well, in
All right,
the, like,
whatever you want.
I'm on the board for the
Alright.
NEF, so I got their logo, and that's more of like a royal bluish, and I like the deeper blue. And then their yellow is a little more lemony yellow, so it's, you know, again, it's sort of like, we wanna have the right, this is our yellow, because they're still gonna be all over the
And in
place.
fairness, we're watching it on a
You're
TV monitor that has probably never been calibrated. Ever.
Right, you know, that's like, you know, like, that's in my ballpark, and I would try to find something that's, you know, I don't even know how many places use PMS colors anymore. It's like
Right.
that own ink, not a whole lot, everything's CMYK, so it's getting that,
RGB.
you know, what, wow,
That's worse.
that's it.
Okay, brick red, silver.
Brick, all right, no.
No.
These were my high school colors.
It's my college colors.
Well, yeah, that's true too, as soon as you.
It's devastating.
Yeah, everybody would complain about
Or Needham Bank.
Yeah.
Okay.
We are,
it. Well, there you go.
All right, so no on that.
No.
all right. I think it looks a little bit like is different. I don't like the yellow.
I don't like the yellow.
Here's a challenge to David. Do green and purple. They go together.
Right.
Green and purple.
Hold it, what's that color though already? There's something that's,
There is.
Wimbledon.
Wimbledon. It goes really great.
I mean, you also have to sell this to the rest of the town, right?
Well,
So-
this, if you give them blue on blue or blue on yellow, this is a real alternative,
Right.
Yeah.
right? So if we've dropped red, and we've dropped blue on gold, and we drop blue on silver, this stays in,
Yeah.
but
right.
without the yellow.
Yeah, that yellow, it looks a little.
Will this one work,
Bosto,
David, without the circle, like the other ones?
Oh, yeah, I just threw that in, just,
Okay.
so you could see it
I
on yellow.
really like them all without the circle.
What's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
one?
Like
with
a
the-
logo for Green Needham.
The full reverse.
The full reverse.
The
Yeah,
negative.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it looks great, yes.
that's what I was.
It looks like a beer coaster. I mean, the other one, beer coaster. so-
But I mean, the thing, is this what you mean without the circle here? Or that with the
Go,
circle?
going,
Can you go
going
back?
up.
Because this is, I love how this.
Like that, that's what I like.
the reverse out.
So, but
And
if
also
you go
gives
here,
us-
you can see he's done it, so this meets this, and then
Yep.
touches that
Yeah.
point
We can
too,
use,
which
if we
gives
get
it,
them, we can use all three,
which
but
gives it a real,
Yeah,
you know what it is.
yeah.
can you go back one more time, Amy? So if you look
Which
at
one
this
is it?
one, in just the reverse,
Yeah.
on some things, that's gonna be perfect,
Yeah.
right? Not everything.
No.
It's
Well, that's what I
not,
was trying to
That
design
gives you some
enough.
shape options too. That one doesn't have to be round.
Yeah.
yes,
So if you have, you know, a rectangle or even a, you know, bent
if you did a
rectangle.
banner that's that shape, yeah.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, for letterhead, you probably wouldn't even use the circles,
You
you
wouldn't.
just use the bottom.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, it's like certain uses, like, because every once in a while they'll come and say, oh, it's gotta be one color. And like, I know a lot of municipal stuff, you know, as soon as you add another color, you're tripling the cost or.
Yeah.
can you go back to the green,
Whatever,
please? The
crazy.
green, yeah. So you're gonna fool around with this and Kevin's notion of purple?
Try it.
I'll-
Just-
I'll try it.
just-
Right, so just so I'm
Humor me.
clear, blue and blue,
I mean, David, you could
Blue on blue,
send
blue
this
on
out and
yellow,
we could just
and
pop in
forest
any
silver
color you
yellow,
wanted. and
forest
see how
silver,
they
no
look.
yellow.
If you were up
Yeah.
for that,
Right, well, I mean, that's,
you know what I'm saying, just drop it, just be like purple, yellow, and be like.
well, I
"Oh,
just
sorry,
figured it's like
suggested
versus, 'cause even as I was doing this, I'm kind of like, I could just keep going all day. Do you want to see the
Right.
turquoise? And
Right.
it starts
No,
to-
I think it's fair. I looked at the list. We said three things. We said blue, bricks, and trees. So,
that." Yeah,
Well, a lot of this, what you want to do is you go through the exercise to rule out, you know, let's see, okay, that's not right. Like, you know, I kind of like the deep maroon, you know, like that's got,
Yeah.
it's an interesting color, but I'm like, is it really us?
it's
And-
Harvard,
Right, well, and it's just hard to like,
which is, you know, they all
to
did their
get,
work.
I think if you put, it'd be very interesting to put the blue on blue and the blue on gold to the general public,
Mhm.
because I feel like yellow and blue would win.
Yeah, that's what it's people.
But it's interesting to see. Yeah,
Listen, everybody's drawn to primary colors just in their thing, you know, red, yellow, blue, like.
Yeah. So I kind of like, you know, like even like the silvery one is like, it's still sort of monochromatic.
so this
and-
is out,
no, this
No, that's-
silver's out.
Oh, sorry.
Well, if we get down to three.
But on a, I would say if we use the yellow in this color, I would put yellow as an accent color with this, for sure. And in the opposite way, where if we had used the yellow logo, I'd use a light blue as an accent color.
how do you mean?
Well, just,
If you have like something on your website or
like
like a
another
sign,
rule or something like that.
you're only allowed to pair the colors that
Yeah.
that the designer.
Like I wouldn't put red with this, because then it looks red, white, and blue type of thing.
And the other question, I guess, is gonna be, are we willing to allow it to be used, like you said, like red for fire? Like, we have to talk about that.
I thought you said no.
I know, but now I'm thinking,
Well, it's a little bit,
now I'm thinking
it's a
I
little
should
bit
just be a little more.
unusage, that's where it gets tougher for. I've got clients, or I work with a lot of places where they just go through a rebranding, and I get the whole huge brand book, and I'm, you know, they're hiring me to update all the materials, and every once in a while you get some rogue kind of weird thing that you're like, all right, I'm the designer, so here's a couple alternatives, here's if we do this, but it's like if we, you know, if all the trucks are purple now, then maybe we should do the color that goes with purple and not make it, you know, something like that. So it's sort of, you know, at those special occasions and you sort of work it out, or, you know, that's where it's nice here, where I can put the white halo around it. And I could work on a, you know, I was thinking like, someone's got a dark blue shirt, what do you do for a logo? Like, oh, okay, well, that solves that, or we could just do a straight reverse type of thing. And it's also, it's not such fine detail that you can't do a decent embroidery on that either. So that's the other next part. That's what I liked about it. So it really covers us in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, in
And-
some ways, the reverse is essentially a white logo, so if you backed it onto, say you put on the police cars, which would be black, it's still a
Right.
white logo. If you put it on the DPW trucks, which are blue, it's still the
That's a
white
great
logo.
point,
Yeah.
right?
So,
That's.
And the
you're not-
patches now are like Crayola.
Oh my.
Right.
Yeah, it looked like- oh,
And,
the-
you know, no
Yeah, yeah.
disrespect to the police and fire, they
No,
inherited
it
them.
looks like Lego. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Stormtroopers.
I did want to
That
ask a
would be
question.
awesome.
There was a concern about this color scheme looking nautical and this looking like a lighthouse, so I just wanted to bring that back up, because
Yeah, thanks for asking.
I know we've got too many stuff, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got, I'm getting over it.
Okay.
All right, well, let's look at the other thing, version, yeah.
Well,
Okay.
if you, there is a weather vane up there. and you
Yeah,
wanna
well, I
have
was
too
just gonna
much
say,
Yeah.
that's the
detail, but
one
you had
detail that
something-
I was trying to, okay, if it's not there. You know. I tried without it, and I brought, circled down a little bit, I was just like, it just. It seemed like it stops.
No, we just
Yeah.
put the
But I
box on
also, it's not worth doing, it's worth sort of that's more of that representation of
It just,
there's something there, cause I could just see people and, well, what is that, a lightning rod, they get into what is it, but I don't wanna to put another element up there is just gonna start to muck it up, and even I was looking. Should that top be a little thinner, and I'm like, well, if I go thinner, then it gets
yeah,
too thin, it's
I
that,
think it's lost.
it's just gotta be enough that. When they're embroidering it, there's
a couple
a
of
little bit of
stitches.
back and forth, and not just one up and down like a line. Type of thing.
Like a lightning rod.
All right.
By the way, no offense to Dedham, right?
Oh, yeah, no, we love that.
Don't you live in Dedham?
I do.
Yeah, so.
The red.
The red color.
Oh, the red.
Yes, right. We
It's
gotta-
actually maroon, but.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I know.
What are you talking about?
The fun continues, but we should adjourn. I would entertain a motion to adjourn before all done.
So moved. Second.
Okay, because it's, we're virtual or hybrid, not do it. Amber, how do you vote? To adjourn? Amber?
Oh, sorry, I was on mute. Second that. Yes.
Yes, okay. Cynthia?
Yes.
All right, Louise?
Yes.
All right,
Stable.
Gloria, yes? Marshall?
Yes.
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 Yeah, oh, yes.
And the chair votes yes.
And the chair votes yes. And no.
Thank you all.
Thank you,
All right,
everybody.
thank you, everyone.
Bye, everyone.